Hello, and welcome to Science 110, Introduction to Scientific Thought. My name is Jessica Stanfield, and I'll be your instructor this semester. If you're taking this course, it's likely because you're not a science major and you need some sort of science class to satisfy a graduation requirement. In this class, we're going to explore what science actually is and how scientists think. We'll also look at how science was developed. Once upon a time, we didn't understand anything. We would burn a log, and all of a sudden we'd go from this big log to a bunch of ash. Science helped us figure out what happened when we burned that log. Originally, we started thinking about crazy things, and we had this really weird element we called phlogiston to explain where all the extra mass was once the log was burned and we were left with ash. As science developed, we started understanding that during combustion, other compounds were created, and a lot of the smoke that you see go away while you're burning is some of that stuff in that log undergoing a chemical reaction, turning into something else, and then going away. Okay? We also used to think we could somehow turn lead into gold. Can't really do that unless we're using a particle accelerator, but that's a whole different study there. And so a lot of those early things helped us understand science where we're at now. Okay, so we're going to study several different things this semester. Okay, we have 6 units, which is really nice because this is a summer 6-week class, so it breaks down very nicely. Okay, so our first unit that we're going to start off with this week, we're basically going to ask ourselves, what is science? Okay, so you'll start thinking about what your own definition of science is. I'm going to have you talk to other people and try to understand what they think science is. And then we'll do a bunch of readings and we'll watch some videos to try to understand what science is. Okay, in our second unit, we'll look at the history behind science. How science was developed, how we got from where we were to where we are now. Okay, our third unit will be philosophy of science. Our fourth unit is going to be ethics. Our fifth unit is pseudoscience. So in pseudoscience, we'll look at things that aren't really scientific. Some of them are very popular, such as astrology. Okay, and our last unit, we will look at science and religion. There's actually a very interesting cross-section between the development of science and religion over the years. Okay, I'm also going to have you work on a term project. So in K through 12, you may have seen this before, the scientific method. So in our first unit, what is science? We're going to look at the scientific method to try to understand it a little bit better. And you'll start developing your term project during this first unit, where you'll actually come up with some sort of project to do over the next 6 weeks that involves utilizing the scientific method. Throughout our time together, there will be various check-ins on your project. So it's not just going to be, I'm going to assign it and then there's going to be 0 interaction until you turn it in 6 weeks later. There's several steps along the way to help guide you through your term project. Okay, and so we will indeed study this scientific method in a lot more depth. You'll understand what it means to come up with a purpose. What is the problem we're looking at? You'll understand what it means to do some research, to gather information, to form your hypothesis, experiment, analyze, and write a conclusion. So we'll go over that in more detail when you actually get to the term project module. Science helps us understand the world around us. So I have a rock here. I'm actually going to come up to my computer screen so you can see what's going on better. Okay, this rock is a piece of marble. If I squirt water on this piece of marble, nothing happens. But if I take this hydrochloric acid and I drop it on the marble. There's all sorts of bubbles that form. Okay. Now, to understand what that reaction actually is, that's something that we cover in chemistry courses, which is what I teach. But it's the process of science that helps us start breaking down and understanding, well, if I put water on this rock, nothing happens. But if I put acid on this rock, why does it bubble? What's happening? If I put enough acid on that rock, eventually the rock will go away and it will dissolve. Okay, that's what's happening in acid rain. When we have marble statues that erode over time, it's because acid rain that falls on them, the acid interacts with that marble and then it washes everything away. And so eventually the statue erodes. It's science that helps us understand why and how that's happening. We've been going through for the last couple of years this global pandemic with COVID-19. Okay, science is how we understand and try to figure out what's going on. COVID's been really interesting because it's been science in action. We don't know everything at the beginning. We test things, we try things. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And when they don't work, we have to redo our hypothesis, go back, take another look at it, and try it again. Which, when you don't understand science, that process can be really scary. That process can be really intimidating, very, very confusing. But if you do understand science, then that process isn't so intimidating anymore. You can understand that, okay, the scientists that are working on this problem, they had an idea, they tried it, it didn't work, so now they have to come up with another idea. Because science isn't a perfect process, it's an iterative process. We do things over and over and over again. Most of the time, what we try the first time around doesn't actually work. And we have to regroup, go back, and try it again. And we see that happening with our COVID-19 pandemic, where we've tried things like the different manufacturers with vaccines, or right now, one of the big things that they're working on is vaccines for small children. I had a child in June of 2020. I was not intending on giving birth during a pandemic. I was intending on having a child, but when I got pregnant, was not intending on giving birth during a pandemic. And one of the stressful things for our family has been the fact that children her age can't get vaccinated yet. And so watching as they've gone through trial after trial to try to see if something's got the right efficacy for her age group has been fascinating to me as a scientist, but frustrating to me as a parent. And so I'm hoping that through our 6 weeks together in this course, that the process of science, the history of science, what science actually is demystified for you and is less intimidating. So that's our goal in our time together. So I hope you enjoy our diving into science here. And as this is an online course, which at this point in time we're all used to, we won't actually meet each other face to face, but we'll have videos for you to watch. I have text for you to read. And on occasion, I can start a live Zoom session if we need to talk face to face about something. So that is our course. And again, I hope you enjoy our 6 weeks together.